When we think about the hamstrings, we normally think about training them in this fashion, a hamstring curl, bringing the heel to the hip or decreasing the angle from the tib to the femur. But the hamstrings always also act as a hip extender. So we have to train the hamstrings in both fashions. The RDL, or the stiff-legged deadlift, is the best way of doing this, but to be honest, can be one of the hardest things to teach a client. So I'm going to show you 3 things today to help you learn how to teach the RDL. Now, whether you're an athlete who wants to do high pulls, deadlift, you need to learn to RDL. If you're training elderly people, teaching them how to actually hinge from the hips to pick something up will also save their lower back. This is a very functional movement that I recommend you take the time to teach people how to do correctly. So step number 1, how I teach the RDL, is how to hip hinge properly. So from this side profile here, what we're gonna do is have you right against the wall. This one doesn't move, that's good. Now the heels, or your feet, are gonna come 1 foot away from the wall. So go back where you were. So 1 foot means this heel on that toe. A little less. Good. Bring your other foot forward. Good. Now, this distance between her glutes and the wall is the amount of hip extension that we want to have. So we want to be able to move those hips towards the wall. And the reason why I like using the wall as an example is that it gives something for the client to reach towards. So we're going to do this the wrong way and then the right way. Okay? So a lot of people think that they're doing this properly, but all they're doing is hinging from the lower back or the lumbar. So lean forward, so keeping the back flat. We can see she's almost parallel to the ground, but there's still a lot of distance between the glutes and the wall. Hands on your thighs, let's pretend we're holding a bar here. Now what I want you to focus on is just merely pushing the hips back until you touch the wall. Now push them forward. Now keep your arms locked, so the bar will slide down the thighs. There we go, now drive them forward. This is proper hip extension. So now we're not focusing on just leaning forward. One thing you have to realize with RDLs or stiff-legged deadlifts is that we're actually using a horizontal motion to create a vertical force. And what I mean by that is her hips are moving, move them back, horizontally, but the bar is moving vertically. Come forward, and where most people have a hard time with this is they think, okay, if the bar moves vertically, I have to move vertically too. So we think about leaning forward and pulling back up. But in essence, we're using a horizontal force to create vertical movement. Now, in the event that the client that you're working with really grasps the hip hinge, but they still lean forward a lot. So push the hips back and lean forward at the same time. And they're still doing this, we have to correct that. So a great way that I've learned to help teach clients not to lean forward is by providing them an opportunity not to. So this is called a wall slide. And you can use a squat rack or a machine or any vertical pull right now. We're gonna place the toes right against the edge here. The shoulder is gonna line up with the bar. And we're gonna do the exact same thing that we did over here with the hip extension, but now she can't push herself forward because she'll push against the bar. So slowly go into your hip extension. Now notice what she's doing. Where's this shoulder compared to this shoulder? And this is so common. People are not used to being in that position. They're gonna rotate. So what I want you to do is maintaining proper posture here. Hips go back, slide the shoulders down the pole. Good, stop there, and then drive the hips forward. Keeping that tension through the hamstrings, do that one more time. Slide the shoulders down, hips go back, stop, drive the hips forward. Now, in the event people still have a hard time understanding hip extension, so hips going back and forth, we use one of these bands. So do me a favor and grab that for me, and you're gonna step inside there, and you're gonna face the other way. So this is gonna go across the pelvis. Now, if she relaxes, what's the tendency gonna be now? To push the hips back. So move forward, just enough with some tension, not enough that's gonna pull you back and crack your skull. Now in this position here, same thing, hands on your thighs. Let the tubing, or let the band, pull your hips back. And now push your hips forward. How does that feel? Now, a lot of people will get this a little bit more, and the reason being, if I give someone a dumbbell or a barbell, where's that force going? You can't fight gravity. So if I'm holding a barbell, it's always gonna wanna pull me down. Now, let's take this and create a horizontal movement or some resistance. So now when she moves forward and back, her brain is now thinking, okay, in order for me to move this band, I gotta drive my hips forward. So between the three, using the wall slide, and then using the bands, you should be able to really help a client understand how to do the stiff-legged deadlift or the RDL more effectively.